For me, activism is any coherent set of activities aimed at improving governance outcome. I think I want to start by defining what it means to me personally. This might not be what it means in the dictionary, but this is to me any coherent set of activities aimed at improving governance outcome. And when many people hear of the word activist, what they usually think of is fists in the air, boots on the ground. But that's only half of the equation, because for me there is collaborative activism and there's combative activism. When I go to my village and I see a primary school that is dilapidated and I want to draw attention to it, I can take a picture and post on Twitter. It will cause ruckus and perhaps force the government to take action. Or I can take that evidence and I ask myself, who is responsible for this? Alright, it might be the head of the education board at the local government. It might be the commissioner for education. So I can take the same picture, seek out the person, write to the person, or go to the person's office, and I get there. They say, oh, you can't see her today. And they say, when is the visiting day? They say it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. Then the next Tuesday I go to there and then I'm able to show her the pictures. And perhaps she's surprised, she doesn't know. And then after 4 or 5 months of engagement, I have attention brought to that issue. I have that issue resolved. I am an activist. Now, no shots fired. So anytime you've identified a problem, you want to ask yourself, what is the best strategy to get my result? Can I get this by shouting and embarrassing the government? Can I get it by walking into the office and reasoning with the person involved? Can I also get it out by mobilizing broad citizens to engage in the subject matter? So when you have looked at the problem and you've identified, and I believe that the biggest risk for me about activism is that people don't clearly think out what the issues are, what the solutions are. Sometimes they might just be running around with a great zeal, but may not have that knowledge. So you want to target your activism, who is responsible, and then how can I get to him? So when you've identified the problem, you've identified the solutions, you've identified the stakeholders involved, you now design your engagement strategy. Do I collaborate with these people? Do I walk into their offices, present myself, introduce myself, write a letter, show them who I am, and then consistently follow up on this issue over an extended period of time, and then the issue gets solved? Or do we get to the boots on the ground, which is combative? Now, many times I've seen that there are issues you can solve with collaboration, but people start fighting unnecessary fights. So I think that we want to clearly state that activism is not just what you do in the streets or on Twitter, that activism is what you also do in the boardrooms, dinner tables. You can also, attend social functions, call the person, give them your piece, and then we've also seen that incredible results can be achieved this way. That's the first point. After I have defined what it means to me, combative and collaborative approach, I can now then go on to say that the biggest risk anybody faces is actually being in a country that is not working. Many people look at activism and they think that it is risky. No, it is not. The greatest risk Nigerians face is by being in Nigeria. And because for me, bad governance will always be worse than oppressive governance. So let me clearly define the two terms. Bad governance, you all know the manifestations. You go to the hospital, no oxygen. You have an emergency attention, no emergency healthcare system. You need education, it's not there. You need employment, it's not there. You need security, it's not there. You know all the manifestations of bad governance. Even till today, trucks still fall off Ojeleba Bridge in Lagos. Even till today, as we speak, many people died last night as a result of preventable healthcare issues. If they were in places where healthcare was working, they would not have died. As we speak, more people are dying due to malaria. As we speak, more people are denied bed spaces in our hospitals. So those are the dangers and the risk of living in a country where there is bad governance. Now let's go to oppressive governance. Oppressive governance means that I have now said, oh, I'm tired of living in bad governance. Now I want to demand for oxygens to be in my hospitals, right? I want to be sure that there is somebody to attend to me if I have a health care need. And I think that that's the biggest risk people face. That you're facing the risk of bad governance. Now, when you now say, let me draw attention to this bad governance, either collaborative or combative, the people will say that they will kill me. And I say to people, look, if you calculate all the number of people who have been arrested, killed, kidnapped, maimed, the Delegiwas of this world, the NSAS of this world, the end bad governance of this world, the Pidom Nigeria of this world, and everything in between, the Mazi Nnamdi Kanus of this world, that if you take all those numbers and put them together from 1960 till today that we speak, that the numbers of people who have been arrested, kidnapped, killed, tortured on the account of their demand for good governance pales in comparison to the number of people that die weekly as a result of bad governance. And this is where it gets serious, because a lot of people don't give much thought to this. Take all the people they've arrested, from 1960 till now. Put them all together. They've killed, they've maimed, they imprisoned. It is not up to the number of Nigerians who die weekly, on a weekly basis. If you take 1960 to now and compress all the people, and then put it on one side, and take out that as Excel, and start calculating number of people who died due to insecurity. And then in the insecurity, you decluster it, maybe put kidnapping for ransom, put ritual killings, put the other ones, put one chance, put all of them together, put it on one spreadsheet. Put the people who die as a result of breakdown in healthcare system. Just take healthcare and insecurity alone. But those are not the only two places Nigeria kill Nigerians as a result of government recklessness. But take those two because those are the major contributors. Put them together and you see what the numbers are. So I tell people, the greatest risk you face while living in Nigeria is just by merely living in Nigeria, not by demanding for good governance. So if we then realize that by just being in Nigeria, every Nigerian stands more risk of being kidnapped by Fulani headsmen than being kidnapped by police or by military or by any of those agencies of government on the account of their demand for good governance. So if we have agreed that the risk, it's actually riskier to live than to demand, then you now see, okay, what are those demands really? And who are those people? What can we do to make it happen? Now, sometimes you might require boots on the ground. You mobilize people, go to the streets. Sometimes it might require writing a letter. Sometimes it might require knocking on doors. But then the last point I will make in this early introductory stage is that now that I've said define activism, it can be collaborative, it can be combative. And I said the greatest risk is by just merely breathing Nigerian air. And then the third point I want to make before I pass the mic back to you is that I see people who punch way above their weight. And that's where they see the risk. Now, you live in a community and there are inherent needs in this community. Maybe the roads are bad. Maybe the healthcare system is not working. Maybe there is a dilapidated primary school or secondary school or whatever it is that the government can give attention to. And then you can actually influence outcomes for that primary school. And at this stage of your life, this is where your social capital, your name recognition, the money in the bank, and everything that can provide you social safety, if, for instance, the people in the government push back. This is as your weighted category. Okay, let me use boxing as an instance. There are different categories of boxing. There is the lightweight, the featherweight, the cruiserweight. Now, I'm not an expert in that regard, of course. But I'm saying that they are weighted. You can't be weighing 50 kg and you're going to fight someone weighing way above your category. And the men are in sizes. Influence grows over time. Many people want to start out criticizing the federal government, start out criticizing the state government, start out shouting, making noise. And I tell you this, on the account of Biafran activism, many people don't know this. There are many countless of individuals in their hundreds who have been imprisoned right way before Wazirike. They are still serving prison sentences till today. Some of them have never seen a court one day, but they are still in prison today on the account of their Biafran advocacy. But look at Nnamdi Kanu. He's almost the only discussion that is heard about that. Now, if you go saying the kind of things Nnamdi Kanu says without having the kind of clout Nnamdi Kanu has, if you are picked up, chances are that you will not get the cavalry that you need. So what I advise people to do, if your influence level can get 2 more books to the primary school near you, get it done. If your influence level can get the debts in your streets cleaned out, get it done. If your influence level can now desilt the gutters around you, get it done. Don't just go criticizing, punching way above your weight. As you grow in influence, as you grow in weight, you can now pick up additional battles. I see people who have not killed the lion, they've not killed the bear, but they jump out to kill Goliath. And I say to them, one fling of his knife, your head is gone.